the lonely soldier made his way through the forest. He paused to watch the way the dying sun shone through wavering leaves, the foliage separating the rays into individual blades of dappling light. Summer was gradually slipping into autumn, the sunsets softly creeping closer and closer, green metamorphosing into burnished orange. A gentle wind whispered of the change of seasons. It brushed through a shallow bay of fallen leaves, pulling on the soldier's collar. The lonely soldier smiled and took in a deep breath. He had not seen his reflection in some time, but it would not have surprised him. The weariness etched in lines upon his face was felt in his bones, along with the pinch of hunger that sharpened his cheeks and jaw into jutting blades. Old scars were buried beneath wiry facial hair, his skin browned by summer's touch and the accumulated grime of a year without soap. He still wore his combat fatigues, but he had discarded his flak months ago, the torn-up, overlapping layers of armor abandoned on the side of a dusty road, along with his empty, fire-scorched lasgun. An axe hung from the belt at his waist, not Munitorum issue, but a civilian tool requisitioned from a silent fire station and treated with a whetstone into something reliable and sharp. A large backpack sat on his shoulders, stuffed with his bedroll and dwindling rations and various accoutrements, useful tools and sentimental talismans and broken parts, optimistically hoarded for repairs that would never come. An Aquila pendant rested against his chest, held by a string that had been replaced twice already and was fraying on its way to a third. Absent-mindedly, as he watched the failing light, he ran his index finger along the grooves in the Aquila's wings. The lonely soldier listened. The wind was a soft sigh through the bushes and trees. Behind it was the faint whoosh of running water, a furtive river hiding within the forest's depths. A small smile came to the soldier's lips. He resumed his walk. He headed vaguely in the direction of the sound of running water, keeping to the natural paths that wound lazily between the trees. He allowed himself to ignore the white firs that crept along tree roots and formed knotted boughs of black bark on trunks, the triangle pockmarks of muddy discoloration that squatted on otherwise unblemished leaves. The rot was there, just as it was everywhere, but it had not yet claimed the forest completely. But for those firs of white and knotted boughs of black bark and triangle pockmarks of muddy discoloration, the forest was alive. Vibrant greens faded to the brilliant purple-orange hues of advancing autumn. The undergrowth twitched with tiny life. The lonely soldier listened to the rustling and the scurrying, and smiled at the memory of stray cats in the fields of his youth. The noise of running water grew louder as the wind subsided, the tepid breeze losing motivation with the straining sun. The lonely soldier paused again to listen, cocking his ear to new sounds of human mutterings and a crackling fire. His body tensed. The skin around his eyes creased. "Hello?" The soldier's small smile widened as two men pushed through the bushes up ahead, their clumsy trespass revealing the licking tongues of an orange campfire. He saw that the two men were gaunt and exhausted. They carried weapons. Who did not? But their clothes were civilian, hanging baggy from bony shoulders. "Hello," one of them said. His face was a tangled thicket of patchy facial hair. His beard clung to collapsing cheeks, lending a wildness to his eyes. His teeth were yellow. His eyes were bloodshot.
Hi. Imperial?
The stranger shrugged.
What else is there? How long you been out here? Couple of months. You? Been on the road for a year, thereabouts. I've kept moving. You from around here?
The stranger nodded. He gestured over his shoulder.
There's a town, 10 miles or so that way. Right. You got any food?
The other stranger asked. He was younger than the first, but it was hard to tell, his hollow features similarly smothered by the muck and matted beard.
Yeah.
The soldier took off his bag and laid it to the ground. He reached forwards to loosen its string. He paused at the sound of a gun being cocked. His shoulders gently fell.
Sorry,
the older stranger said.
I would have shared it with you. Sorry. I would have helped you. We could have hand over the bag. No.
No. The stranger thrust out with his stub revolver.
I'll shoot you. Is it even loaded? You'll pay to find out. You pull that trigger and everything within half a mile will come swarming. And you'll be dead. So hand it over. Fine.
The lonely soldier leaned down to the bag. Picking it up with one hand, he offered it to the two strangers. The older one glanced to his companion.
Take it.
The younger stranger drew a knife and approached. Once he was close enough, the soldier threw the bag towards his face and drew an axe with his other hand. Everything moved quickly. The younger stranger instinctively went to catch the bag. He screamed as the axe head sank into his side. The soldier surged forwards. His axe tore free with a welter of blood. The younger stranger fell. The other fired the pistol. The soldier shuddered, but he kept moving. The older stranger pulled the trigger again. The stubber clicked. The soldier swept his axe towards the stranger's neck. The stranger jumped back. He was a fraction too slow. The axe didn't decapitate him, but it opened his throat from right to left. It released what seemed to be a solid sheet of spilling blood. The stranger dropped the gun and fell to his knees, clutching at the ruin of his neck. The lonely soldier panted. His fingers found the bullet hole in his lower left torso, feeling the warm wet of his leaking blood.
I would have shared it with you. I would have helped you. I could have helped you. But you didn't want that.
The older stranger gurgled. He pressed against his wound to slow the vitae flow. The younger stranger was still, a corpse slowly spooling red into the dirt.
But you didn't want that. You wanted to take it from me.
The soldier cocked his head at the distant sound of eerie, moaning screams. He swallowed.
Now we all die.
He stepped away from the stranger, his movements slow and laboured. With a grunt of exertion, he reached down for his bag and slipped it over his shoulders with a shudder of pain. Ignoring the bloody splatters of the wounded man, he limped past and towards the sound of running water. His pace slowed, slower and slower. His body was hunched, as if curled around the bullet hole in his stomach. He felt the wet stream of blood run down his legs like a leaking colostomy bag. The moaning screams grew louder and louder. The lonely soldier shuddered. He stopped and closed his eyes. The moaning screams settled on his shoulders. He felt them permeate his skin and settle in his chest. His throat tightened. An itchy cough bristled along furry growths in his lungs. His knees buckled. He almost fell. The soldier reached out to steady himself against a tree. His hand caught the string of his Aquila pendant. The Imperial Eagle felt warm against his fingers. His eyes opened. He stared down at the Aquila.
Emperor, grant me just a little of your light.
The moaning screams faded, retreating behind the soft sigh of the rattling wind. The soldier took a series of deep breaths. He straightened. He started walking again. He cast a ruddy shadow as the sun set beneath the trees. Rays of bruising purple and fiery orange recast the greens and browns in a dying rainbow of scarlet reds. The wind made a resurgence, rustling through the leaves like an officious adept through papers. The moaning screams were just a rude background whistle struggling against the breeze. The lonely soldier trained his ear on the whispers of flowing water. He limped and stumbled, as if entranced by a siren song. He left a dribbling line of blood behind him. The edges of his pendant pressed into his palm, almost painful.
Oh.
He swallowed. It was a simple thing, but no less lovely for that. He saw the river, stretching wide from shallow bank to shallow bank, those sandy inclines framed by wild bushes and winding tree roots. The river's current was confident but unhurried, chuckling over its own streams and around pebbles and sand. The water was clear. It reflected a deep violet purple as the sunset refracted other colours beyond the surface. And, perhaps most miraculous of all, there was a simple rowboat sitting abandoned in the sand, as if waiting just for him. The soldier made his way down the bank, slipping on the pebbles and half falling against the wooden boat. His stumbling pushed it halfway out to the river, and he leaned into his mishap, achingly releasing the craft from the sand and out onto the open water. With a haste stuttered only by animal pain, he clambered into the boat before it left him behind. His clumsy movements almost capsized the vessel. The rowboat rocked back and forth. Water lapped over its sides and into its sodden basin. But he made it onto the boat, and it did not keel over. Its rocking slowly steadied into a peaceful bobbing. Its prow caught the current, easing the vessel into the unhurried direction of the flowing river. The soldier sighed. He gingerly lowered himself back until he was lying down, propped up by waterlogged benches and the bulk of his backpack. His neck arched as he rested his head against the rowboat's keel. His eyes, bloodshot and glazing, stared up at the sunset colours of the sky. He listened. He listened to the lapping waves against the hull of the boat, the shivering wind through the trees and along the water, the soft whooshes of the current, diverting around loose branches and the gentle curves of the river's path. He listened to the sound of his own breaths, each inhalation and exhalation slightly weaker than the one before. He even listened to the moaning screams, their echoes emerging from the tree line and taking on a new urgency in the rising gloom. The lonely soldier still clutched at his pendant. He allowed himself to smile. The moaning screams grew louder. The noise rose all about him, as if ascending from the water, or stepping forth from the trees, strangling the tender sounds of nature with its phlegmy grasp. It was a keening amalgam of not quite human echoes. The soldier heard the distant screams of a mother burying her infant child. He heard the low sobbing of an old man sinking into lonely despair. He heard the desperate howl of a child abandoned by their parents and left to fend for themselves. The cacophony was a tableau of every unhappy sound that might escape a human body, but there was something else, too. The growl of a terrible hunger. The banshee screech of a profound psychic emptiness that could only be temporarily banished, and only by feasting on warm, human flesh. The moaning screams wanted to get inside him. They wanted to extend long claws down his throat and stretch out across his lungs. They wanted to breathe their poison into his blood, to green his flesh, to whisper that same inconsolable grief hunger into his mind. They were repugnant, but persuasive in their own way, finding a resonance in his exhausted soul. The screams murmured sly kinship with his grief and his sadness and his profound tiredness. They promised him that it was okay to rest, that it was okay to give in and give up.
The Emperor is our guiding light, a beacon of hope for humanity in a galaxy of darkness. As we serve him, he is our greatest servant. As we pray to him, his thoughts are only for us.
The lonely soldier tilted his head to look upon the riverbank. He saw the Poxwalkers standing there, but his expression did not change. He had seen them before, and he was expecting them now. His face did not blanch at the discoloration of their rotted flesh, even though the pallid green and putrescent brown offered only a parody of living skin. His eyes did not widen at the thrusting growths of matted hair, tumorous skin, and calcified bone that formed irregular horns from their skulls, nor at the collapsing flesh that wriggled into slopping, trailing tentacles where once there had been arms or hands. He did not look away from the bubo clusters developing heretical symbols on diseased torsos, nor from the rictus grins that split apart faces like ragged scars beneath glassy, glowing eyes.
And in the dark, and the shadows are with us, the Emperor is with us, in spirit and in fact. Amen.
The lonely soldier squeezed his Aquila. Without urgency, he turned his head away from the Poxwalkers and back towards the sky. The brilliance of red and purple and orange had faded into foggy blue. The colour gradually darkened to a tinted black.
I am human. I die human.
The lonely soldier smiled again and closed his eyes. He was surprised to find them opening again. He had no way to tell for how long he had been drifting along the river. He had stirred at the bump of the rowboat against the bank, a soft judder that had disturbed his head from its makeshift pillow and jolted him awake with the feeling of a sudden fall. The sun was up, blazing white and yellow against a clear blue sky. The pain in his abdomen had lost its urgency. It now took on the form of a dull, persistent ache that flared whenever he tried to move. The soldier grunted. He rubbed at his eyes. He heard screaming. Not just the moaning screams of the Poxwalkers, but a scream with words, furious and defiant.
Mea fides est, et ferrum amis.
High Gothic, he murmured. How long since?
He now felt wide awake. He felt the pain in his stomach subside. Adrenaline pumped through his veins. It was the last-ditch effort of a body on the brink of death. Nature had provided this hormonal boost for a final attempt at survival. Yet he had no intention of wasting his remaining strength on something so useless as survival. The soldier scrambled to his feet. He left his backpack in the boat. The only thing he took with him was his axe. He climbed the bank, slipping as he dragged himself over a tiny hillock of mud and rock. Beyond was a green and luscious field, mostly unspoiled, an expansive clearing bordered by forest trees. It was beautiful.
In nomine eius!
A woman fought a poxwalker in the centre of the clearing, swinging her sword into the monster's neck. The blade caught the sun as it chopped into meaty flesh. Chips in the metal created weak prisms of light as the weapon partially severed the poxwalker's head from its body. The woman wore a stained civilian's coat over tattered robes. Vestments folded into a hardy set of breeches, in turn tucked into military boots. She struggled to retrieve her sword from the poxwalker's neck as it staggered back. Its head hung at a perverse 90-degree angle as it flailed out with a limp, puckered tentacle. When the woman finally wrenched her weapon free, she used it to slice the tentacle in two. Her next swing finished the creature's decapitation. Its lifeless body slumped to the grass. The woman panted for breath. Her shoulders heaved up and down. Her sword dipped, as if she barely had the strength left to carry it.
In nomine eius!
More poxwalkers emerged from the tree line, their moaning screams rising to match the fury in the woman's voice. She turned to face them and adopted a weary guard. Though the soldier could not see her face, something in her posture screamed fatalistic defiance. She was readying herself for death. But the lonely soldier was already dying. He sprinted forwards. His boots compressed footprints into the grass. His vision narrowed, focused on the monsters shambling from the trees. He ran past the woman and met the first poxwalker halfway, swinging his weapon in a wide arc. His axe missed the poxwalker's neck, but smashed into the creature's mouth with enough force to break apart the rotten flesh and liquefied bone. Everything above the jawline went flying in a cascade of gore. As the poxwalker dropped, the soldier kept moving forwards. He led with his shoulder into the next poxwalker. He slammed into the creature's chest, the monster folding around him. It went over his shoulder and hurtled into the grass. The soldier ignored it for now. A third poxwalker was already on him. It grasped for his head with elongated claws, and he blocked its arms with the shaft of his axe. He grunted, wrestling with the creature as it snapped at his face with a grinning mouth. The muscles in his arms strained. He threw the poxwalker to the ground. He brought down his axe, but it reached up with a hand, catching the weapon on its talons. The claws, spindly and grotesque, shattered against the axe, the nails peeling loose from diseased hands in a spatter of pus and blood. The soldier roared. he chopped down with his axe, and this time buried it in the Poxwalker's head. A fourth Poxwalker barreled into the soldier's side. They both crashed to the ground, scrabbling in the grass. The axe fell from his reach. The soldier fought to push the monster off him, baring his teeth at the Poxwalker's inhuman grin. Yellow saliva slopped from its mouth. It bubbled against his cheek where it dripped against his skin. He threw the Poxwalker off, clawing through the grass to reach his axe. His fingers closed around the shaft and he swung immediately. The weapon crashed into the Poxwalker's temple and shattered its skull in half. The soldier hastened to his feet. There was no respite to be had. The second Poxwalker was back on its feet, slavering as it attacked with a worming tentacle. The appendage seemed weak and flailing, but it slapped into his shoulder with brutal force. The soldier staggered. One-handed, he swept out with his axe. It bit deep into the monster's abdomen, but the Poxwalker didn't seem to notice. Its tentacle slivered back for another crushing impact against the soldier's shoulder. There was a loud crack as the bone broke or dislocated. The soldier almost fell, stumbling back. The Poxwalker advanced, forever wearing its hellish grin. It drew back its tentacle for another blow, but the blow never came. A sword erupted from its throat. As the blade twisted free, the Poxwalker's head ripped from the neck. Festering muscle tore loose, no longer able to hold up the weight of its mutated skull. The creature collapsed. All was quiet. The soldier dropped his axe. He fell to his knees, slumping forwards. The woman caught him before his head hit the grass, gently guiding him back. Her hair was sweaty and falling across her face. Her skin was an unhealthy greyish pallor. Her lips and cheeks were swollen, her eyes puffy from the build-up of hoarded fluids. And yet, she smiled, her eyes shining.
Corporal Eno? Tevin?
The soldier's eyes widened. A smile spread across his bloodied lips.
Sister Anita?
Are you hurt? Are you bitten?
Tavan slowly shook his head. His mind felt distant from his muscles, the movement coming at a strange delay.
No. Abdomen. Bullet.
He grunted as the sister moved him to examine his wound. He laughed weakly at her expression. She smiled ruefully in return.
I never had much of a poker face.
It doesn't matter.
You stole my martyrdom.
Sorry. You're just going to have to wait on that.
I can't believe you're here.
Same. I don't really know how it can be.
She smiled.
What can I do?
Let me see the sky.
Tavan grunted again as Anita rotated him about. His head rolled against her shoulder as she cradled him upright. The soldier stared up at the sky. It was an endless ocean of piercing blue.
How about a prayer, sister?
Beati qui cesiderant qui in nomine eos periunt, nam atlatus imperiatus ambulambant.
That's nice. What does it mean?
Blessed are the fallen who perish in his name, for they will walk at the Emperor's side.
Good. Good. Seems appropriate.
Thank you for saving me, Tevin.
The soldier smiled. He let his vision drift across the sky. His eyes paused on a spot of burning light, a slowly expanding circle of white competing with the magnificent sun. He took in a deep, shuddering breath. The sister followed his gaze upwards. She stared up at the growing light.
Oh.
The soldier grunted, taking in another long, juddering breath. He weakly reached for his pendant. He closed his hand around the talisman. The sister mirrored the gesture. Her left hand found a matching Aquila pendant around her neck. The pair stared up at the sky and watched the circle of light grow and grow.
Thank you for listening to this video from the Archive Tower. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to the channel.